So for a lot of these things to actually happen, there's a part of our day-to-day lives as entrepreneurs, as people in technology that I believe we don't value enough, which is the fact that, you open your laptop, you get your phone, and it's connected. You don't think about your connection. You don't think about your 3G, your 4G. You don't think about the Wi-Fi anymore until obviously the Wi-Fi stops working, like what happens in conferences. And then you go like, oh shit, the internet is down. Now, our next talk is actually going to be around those topics and what's actually coming next. What's the future of connectivity from people that are actually on the ground, that they're building the next wave of connected technology. So our next panel is about connectivity and 5G and fueling the digital revolution. So we've decided to transform the panel into a fire chat. So I want to welcome our two next speakers. So on one side, Luis Ignacio Vicente del Olmo. He's the Return on Innovation Manager at Telefónica. Please, big applause. And welcome Manuel Lorenzo, Head of Tech and Innovation at Ericsson, Spain. Come on, guys. It's the last talk. Last day. Give them some energy.
Well, good morning. Thank you very much, Alex, for this kind presentation. It's a pleasure to be here in South Summit talking about connectivity. My name is Luis Ignacio Vicente. I'm Return on Innovation Manager in Telefónica. Our focus is how it's possible to increase the revenue on innovation. Maybe easy, but obviously the question is, I am the only person around the world with this particular title, so I think that we are innovative also when we are creating titles within Telefónica. 25 years ago, the first mobile generation was deployed, and I was there, so I have a bit experience talking about this kind of things. And obviously, maybe as you know, the first and second mobile generation gave us mobility. The second generation gave us the mobile internet. Fourth generation that we are deploying, we're trying to deploy the similar user experience for mobile communication than fixed or wireline communications. And now we're developing the 5 generations. When we're talking 5 generation, obviously we're talking about high speed, we're talking about ultra broadband, but also we're trying to deploy new functionalities, for example, the wall slicing. I think also we're trying to talk about low latencies. And also it's very important that we're not talking only about mobile communication, we're talking also about fixed wireline communication, because we are balanced to context. Software design networks, SDN. So software is very relevant when we are creating the new networks, and machine visualization. So I think this is a very relevant context when we're talking as entrepreneurs ecosystem like this, because I think we are open the evolution of the network from the hardware to software, and we're talking about software, obviously. I think we are creating a new framework, a new paradigm when we're talking about these kind of things. And also, for example, we're using now 5G in order to revisiting all the questions about intellectual property, for example. We're trying to balance the questions about how it's possible to balance patents and software open source, for example. We're using the particular 5G for this kind of opportunities. The key question today, when we're talking about the 5G, obviously, is to identify the killer application. So this is the reason also, because I think this is a good challenge for entrepreneurs, how it's possible to create value using this kind of new networks. So, and also, I think it's very relevant, and this is the question I would like to share with you. I think it's possible to involve startups and small companies in the evolution of this particular network. And this is, obviously, I think is new in relation with the previous networks. I think with a similar approach that Vitaly was commenting now, I think we're promoting use cases, because I think it's very difficult now to match the opportunities from vertical sectors and the opportunities for technology. So it's necessary to promote conversation in the other question, talking about, obviously, critical communication, massive communications. Obviously, I think 5G is the network for smart cities, for smart industry. For example, in Europe, the European Commission is promoting this kind of conversations between car manufacturing sector and ICT sector in order to identify how it's possible to promote these things. Also, I think that it's very relevant for us, for the big companies. I think Ericsson and Telefónica were the more relevant companies, in particular in Spain and in Southern Europe, talking about R&D. And the question is how it's possible to identify these new opportunities. So we are creating open spaces. And for discuss about these particular things, I have the pleasure to introduce Manuel Lorenzo. Manuel is Director of Technology and Innovation in Ericsson R&D Spain. I think he's one of the most relevant persons when talking about 5G in South of Europe. And I would like to share with you some ideas that we're creating around how it's possible to develop together 5G.
Thank you so much, Luis. Well, now that no one is recording and we can be totally honest, imagine just this type of conference 2 years ago and someone asking, you are very well aware of what digitization is, aren't you? Everyone would nod, but no one would really know what they are saying. We have to be careful with 5G. And now we'll make the question, are you aware of what 5G is? Please raise your hands. Okay. I come with the good news. Probably you know what it is, but you don't know that it was called like that. The context of 5G is the same as the context for digitization. If you look for 4 pillars of digitization, you will fall into thinking of artificial intelligence, big data and analytics, cloud, and superconnectivity. That makes the whole puzzle of technologies that can help you make a customer-centric solution for your customers. So superconnectivity has to do, and this is something new in moving from 3G to 4G, to moving to 4G to 5G, has to do with both access, super fast technology, powerful technology for being able to have higher bandwidth, lower latencies, fast communications, and the cloud. Today, much more than half of the traffic in the internet is mobile. So it's the whole internet what is changing, and it can change for our benefit as users, but it can really change for the benefit of businesses. How many businesses are involved here? Virtually all of them, all the industry sectors. We may be talking, and we had a fantastic chat before this one, about self-driven cars, and that's futuristic, but happening. We may talk about manufacturing, we may talk about remote surgery, and we may talk about a number of use cases that are today in the board of decisions in many companies. And they can wait until there is a full 5G deployment, or they can be an active part in making it happen faster for them. And then they can really be more competitive and compete with other sectors, cooperate with other sectors, and outsmart their competitors. This is the context. Otherwise, there's no point for 5G. It's not that we engineers can do it. It's not that operators can launch it as a service. It's not like that. It's that industries are demanding this for their core business. It's not accessory. It's necessary for them. So let me go. That's the context. Can I give you just a few hints about figures? And basically, there's 3 aspects that are going to be changed according to our studies for 2021. We will have basically 3 vectors of change. We'll have more usage, we'll have more users, and we will have more things connected. So talking about usage, the expectation, the necessity is that in 2021 there will be 10 times more traffic than today. We need to cope with that because it's a real necessity. Talking about users, we'll reach the 9 billion users in 2021 from the 7 billion today, or 7 billion subscriptions. And talking about things, at least 1.5 billion things will be connected through mobile networks. So that's something to address. And it's not only for us, the Ericssons, the Nokias, the Telefónicas, the Vodafones. It's not only for us. It's for entrepreneurs who can find an opportunity to leverage that for a business. And that's basically why we're here today. We are not here to pitch or preach about 5G. It's about you to welcome to be part of 5G innovation. Okay. Then there's a number of interesting technical parameters that I will be glad to share on the challenges that we engineers need to fix in this limited time towards the framework, to the time frame of 2020 and 2025. But I maybe can skip it. The important thing is what is it needed for? We have a fantastic demo showing why very fast connections are required for virtual reality. You have a couple of guys playing remotely with a virtual reality, sending a ball to each other and trying to catch it. Today, unfortunately, with the powerful networks we have, it's impossible. They will not be able to play. A surgeon will not be able to go through an operation with a remote patient. It will not work. With the fast connectivity that we can bring with 5G, it will be possible if a business model can be found for that. As usual, because this is high-tech and brings risk and the necessity of finding other models. In a virtual reality game, it is possible to totally spend your quota of data in a single minute for the whole month. So super cool, super challenging. And that's where more brains have to come into the picture to find other types of business models. We need to really challenge the ecosystem itself of today. Well, that's the part. We want this to be more of a conversation. Of course, we need to wait until the questions, but please raise your hand, especially if you now understand what 5G is a little bit.
Very important. It
will make me happier. And finally, how can we do this? We are a company, Ericsson, with 100,000 people. We acknowledge we are not enough people, and we acknowledge that we have to work with so many other companies. We have to prove that not in the big market research and in the big corporations globally, but also locally. And the initiative we took in Spain, in Madrid in particular, not only because I'm always looking for reasons to stay in Madrid as a guy from Alicante, but the initiative we launched, we were happy to join the founding initiative of 5Tonic. That's why I keep this paper with me. Please, if you can come to the Telefónica Open Future area, please go and grab one of them. This is a real association of companies promoting the creation of value in Madrid for 5G with concrete cases. How are we doing that? First of all, we need to invest in a large-scale pilot facility for piloting projects. But more importantly, we need to engage with a number of vertical companies with a huge presence in the world. And we do have them in Spain, and we can welcome them from other countries as well. We have so many important companies in the manufacturing, in the textile, in the gaming area, in audio and video, safety. It's all the sectors that the European Union is prioritizing for the future of 5G. We can have a real first pilot in Spain. And we have all the tools that those companies, vertical companies, can use to test that in advance. So they don't have to be the late adopters of 5G, but the best and first adopters of it with our support. And maybe the missing piece was, again, some business models that we can launch well in advance, and the brains bringing more ideas. The match between our classical way of thinking with connectivity and the needs for industries going through digitization can very well be coming from entrepreneurs. So, coming to the point, maybe me or you can comment on the challenge that we're launching. I can continue with that. We're so glad to launch the first innovation contest on 5G. It will be open very soon, 15th of October to 15th of November. We'll see. We'll see how it works. We are super interested in more people raising their hands from all over the world to work with us in this challenge. And we are offering that in December they will be pitching to the steering board of 5Tonic, our initiative that I commented. And we will be so happy to announce that who is awarded as a winner in the Mobile World Congress in 2017. That is cool. That's perception. That's a lot of things. But something more important is that the awarded winner will be working with us, will be a full associate startup company to 5Tonic for 6 months, interacting with our best experts. working with our user experience guys who are designing potential business models, using our tools, our lab, getting access to the vertical companies we are already talking to. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity for a startup, and it's also a fantastic opportunity for us in Fivetonic to open even more our way of thinking in innovation and get to new avenues that we haven't explored. So you are most welcome to join here. You can connect to us, any of the companies in Fivetonic, and if you get the brochure, you can really find the contact persons there. And try it, because it's worth it, and spread the word to your colleagues.
Yes, I think it's very relevant that for this particular initiative, we are inviting you to take part of our particular 5G ecosystem, but also we are open our markets to you. And very relevant for me, last but not least, we are sharing with you our knowledge about connectivity. Suppose you know companies like Ericsson and Telefónica, we have relevant experts about how we are creating these kind of technologies. We have people working on the standards, we have people working on intellectual property related to these particular questions, obviously. And also it's possible to take part of this particular ecosystem. And also, I think we are thinking about your new ideas, because obviously I think I mentioned it before, we need this kind of new use cases with obviously we are looking for the killer application related to 5G, and also I think this is a very good opportunity for you. Obviously I think we are looking for maybe startups working around connectivity, or they are using a new way for connectivity, because in some cases maybe you have good ideas that need new functionality that is impossible today to deploy with our current networks. For example, when we're talking about gaming, when we're talking about some particular delays, obviously I think it's very, very difficult to create new services. But I think today it's possible to imagine new services around the new networks. This is the opportunity I will have on the table.
Very good. So then we can open for questions now. Please.
Candidates.
Try to be the first one before Ruben is asking something as a 5G entrepreneur.
Do you have any priority in this kind of ideas you are looking for? I mean, you are looking more for killer application for 5G, for software-based ideas, for hardware. Do you have any priority in this sense?
Okay. Not really in the sense that we are open to really see what you're proposing. We think that we don't have this is important, I think I want to comment. In general, the open innovation approach, as understood 10 years ago, is a little bit wasted. I mean, it's not the big company or the big association looking for the gap to fill with another company, a small company that is doing that. We are not in that situation today. We are not in the situation of the big cooperating with the small so that you have the lot that you're expecting. We are open to surprise. What we need to do now is to keep on cooperating leaders with leaders. That's the whole game. A startup can be a leader in its field for the application to security or for the application to gaming. And we want to have that open and in the same conditions dialogue with them. So is it about hardware? Is it about software? Is it about applications? We don't care now. We want to make sure that it's not just a bilateral classical connection where we talk a lot about IPR and these things, but that we work in a star fashion, connecting different dots. We're connecting a vertical with a name and a surname who will be investing in this because they are drafting their digitization strategies today and enforcing them next year towards 5G. To work with a startup, with several of us, and even with several of our competitors. The rules of the game for competition are not here yet. So we are totally open to that. And of course, it's a contest. There has to be rules. We will publish that. But it's not about giving a prize, an award, and get a picture. It's about this cooperation. We can facilitate a cooperation for 6 months. 6 months for a startup is a lot of time. A lot of time. A lot of things can be done. Learned, discarded, a lot of progress can happen as well. So that's the real award that we're proposing.
Yes, I think. In our case, in Telefónica, as you know, we have other initiatives that open future, that is possible also to know and to have more information here in South Summit. We are promoting, in collaboration with other companies, this initiative in parallel, more focused on connectivity. For me, it's very important that we are trying to deploy new initiatives that is impossible to deploy with the current state of the art, talking about connectivity. Because I think many times we are imagining solutions that is possible to deploy now using 4G, for example, but we're trying to go beyond, and this is, for me, a critical point from the technological aspect when we are trying to go there. In some cases, it's necessary to test. Is it possible to do with the current connectivity, or is it necessary to go beyond? But obviously, I think our experts and ourselves, we could test these kind of things. Obviously, I think my experience is even maybe one day discussing about these topics with experts from the ICT sector, obviously, I think is a good opportunity, because I think, for example, when we're talking about new services, I think it's normal to see people from Ericsson or Telefónica or Intel or other companies collaborating with Photonic now, talking about how it's possible to deploy, for example, the new platforms on internet, for example. But obviously, it's not easy to have a good access to our experts about networks, about connectivity, because this is a typical inside innovation during the time. And we are open our innovation also talking about connectivity, and this is a good moment, I think.
I mean, of course, today we are talking about this contest. It's super important. This is the right place to call for it. We are so grateful to Maria for giving us the opportunity. But it's also about normal cooperations. You can be in your companies, and you can approach us. You can join our project. Last week, we were celebrating the first 5G for Verticals big conference in Spain, when we put it in a plan like 6 months ago, that we should go out there and not only talk to 3 or 6 companies, but 40. We said 40. And there were almost 200 attendants there. So it's huge momentum. It's not that we are really looking for big companies to adopt 5G, it's that they are looking on how to adopt it, what for, and we can have an open dialogue on that.
Trying to learn our message, maybe interesting to say we do that in this particular event. Last week, we introduced our first 3 use cases, one of them about smart industry, or Industry 4.0, with a company called Innovalia, a Max company in north of Spain, creating particular machines for the car manufacturing industry, for example. The second use case is about Tourings. Smart Tourings is a really good content, obviously, in Spain, and we're trying to discuss with the touring sector how it's possible to use 5G technology for new applications. And the third use case was about emergencies, in particular with SAMUR, the particular emergency industry or organization in Madrid, in this particular city. We are trying to study how it's possible to improve these emergency services from SAMUR for the typical people living in Madrid.
More questions, guys? One there, and then we go there.
Okay, just so you mentioned innovation around business models as well. I'm quite interested about that. And how do you think that 5G is going to affect the business models, in particular for technology and content providers?
Well, who can take it? I can take it. Well, it's for sure going to affect it, and it's going to affect it in the bottom line. First of all, our reference model is that you have a subscription for 4G, 3G, and then you use it as a... That's not the case anymore. It's about industries. It's not about the employees having a SIM. It's about people in the company using the technology for something, machines in the company using the technology for something. So the models that we know today will for sure change. That is one clear aspect. The other one is the competition in the industries, because they can really pay more for certain facilities, certain possibilities of connectivity and cloud that they don't have today. If you think only of the extra or the need for security, security is something that is being paid today in certain models, very classical models. It can really be challenged with this because it can be embedded in the network and be part of your contract. I mean, so on and so forth. So many things that we have to challenge.
Sorry for the interruption, but obviously I think we're worried studying the evolution for the 3G to 4G. Obviously, I think the impact about business model is not so clear. So we are more or less the same services with a different network. But when we're talking about the evolution to 5G, obviously I think we are creating a lot of impact. For example, when we're talking about smart industry, I think we are creating new business around big data and how it's possible to talk about new services around the old products and the kind of things, more connectivity. For example, when we're talking car connected, obviously we're talking about 5G. It's difficult today to create good businesses about a car connected industry without 5G. So we are thinking that. So we're talking about big data, we're talking about Internet of Things when we're talking about 5G.
I mean, it's pretty easy to guess that there will be new marketplaces for industries, for new tools. The app environment we know today is for end users, basically, and with a given set of rules. This will probably be different for companies. Now they go to the suppliers, maybe they go to a big marketplace where they can get embedded connectivity, computing facilities, and big data in a bundled approach. So we are open to this. We want this to happen. We learned a lot from the move from 3G to 4G about how things accelerate when there's more people in the ecosystem and how certain things become unbalanced or are balanced works of condition in the ecosystem. But with 5G, it's the industry's pull who will drive it. So it's a strong investment there.
More questions, I think?
And, yeah.
For your presentation, where in the world seen are other pioneers, corporate pioneers in your direction? And do you think of, for example, sharing common goals of where this should go, like just knowledge base, or future goals of where the focus should be on technology and implementation?
Yeah. You mean goals for this association, goals in general, or for 5G?
For this and in general, or as well sharing with other companies from another, let's say, countries or continents, yes, even, to see where this goes.
This is really happening at all levels. It's I mean, you can complement my answer, but at global level, it's all regions moving. It's all regions competing, all their industries competing to be first to adopt 5G. If you look into Europe, 2 weeks ago, there is a full roadmap of European priorities for 5G published, saying very strong things about what should change to 5G in 2020 and in 2025. Yeah. So for that, we cooperate globally with all the other companies and all the stakeholders. But the point is that it's not about waiting until 5G comes from somewhere and lands in Spain. It's that we want Spain to be a pioneering country in 5G. And for that, Fivetonic is the association that we have created. It's open by definition. So in just 1 year, we have 7 members, if I'm not, or 8, if I'm not getting wrong, and 4 associate verticals. So it's on the global, on the regional, and on the country level.
Yes. Well, I think obviously we're talking about a very competitive race versus Asia, versus the US. And also I think with this open approach, I think this is a possibility from the European side, and it is possible to try to win this particular race. But obviously Ericsson and Telefónica and other companies were pushing the European Commission in order how it's possible to create a European strategy for this kind of question, but obviously I think this is toys.
Okay guys, so we're out of time. Once again, thank you so much for sharing the future
you.
with us. Big applause to both of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And so this is all for today, for this stage. This was our last talk. I hope you enjoyed it. And well, first of all, another applause for you guys for being here. Please, thank you very much.